Comedy legend Louis Black is bringing Goodbye Yeller Brick Road, the final tour, to Steelhouse on Sunday, February 25th. Tickets go on sale Friday, November 17th at 10 a.m. Get yours at steelhouseomaha.com.
The holidays start here at Baker's with a variety of options to celebrate traditions old and new. You could do a classic herb-roasted turkey or spice it up and make turkey tacos. Serve up a go-to shrimp cocktail or use Simple Truth wild-caught shrimp for your first Cajun risotto. Make creamy mac and cheese or a spinach artichoke fondue from our selection of Murray's cheese. No matter how you shop, Baker's has all the freshest ingredients to embrace all your holiday traditions. Baker's, fresh for everyone.
Hey, it's Storyworthy. Today on the show, the very talented Heather McDonald talks about her difficult sister.
It happened at the wedding. She called me a CUNT. She, threatened to leave with her children, who are the flower girls. So I had to be apologizing to her. And I never wanted her in the wedding. I told my mother, because she was very difficult during my sister's wedding. She ordered a dress 2 sizes too small. The seamstress had to add a panel in the back. So with this time around, I go, listen, I'm going to forgo having bridesmaids so that so then she can't get mad.
Today on the show, comedian Heather McDonald talks about her very difficult sister. Stay close.
Hey, it's Heather McDonald, and you're listening to Storyworthy.
Welcome to Storyworthy. My name is Christine Blackburn, and I'm coming to you from Los Angeles, California. Whether you're a longtime fan of the show of over 12 and a half years, or you're a new listener, welcome to Storyworthy. I hope you guys enjoyed the show last week with John Reep. John Reep talked about cleaning the swimming pool with his father. Now, picture this. His father had a backpack full of rocks on to hold him under the water. Okay, so I'm just going to leave it at that. They have things called an underwater repair kit. That's right. And John Reep tried to help his father clean the pool. Absolutely hilarious, you guys. Go back, listen to John Reep, but not today. Today, stay tuned to listen to Heather McDonald talking about her very difficult sister. Heather McDonald is an extremely accomplished comedian. She's got out comedy specials. She has a wonderful podcast called Juicy Scoop, and she never stops working. So I know you guys are going to love this episode. Now, as most of you know, I am taking a small break from Storyworthy and bringing you some of the past episodes that I know you'll enjoy that are still Storyworthy, and I'm leaving myself a little more time to work on my other show, My Life in 3 Songs. My Life in 3 Songs is a podcast exclusively on Spotify because I talk to comedians about the 3 songs in their life that have impacted them. Not necessarily their favorite songs, but songs that made an important impact on their life. And in order to do that, we listen to the song and then we talk about it. And that's why I need Spotify, because they have that music licensing. It's totally free to you guys. So go over to mylifein3songs.com for more information and follow My Life in 3 Songs on Twitter and Instagram at My Life in 3 Songs. All right, you guys, don't forget, tune in to My Life in 3 Songs over on Spotify. It's totally free. Just download the free app and you are listening. All right, you guys, without any other delay, let's get over to Heather McDonald and hear about her very difficult sister.
Oh, thank you for the wonderful intro. So, I will tell you, the way I came up with Serial Sister and calling it that is I've been doing Juicy Scoop with Heather McDonald for about 1.5 years. And one day I had a guest that couldn't make it. And I do the podcast by myself unless I have a guest. And I said, there's been one story that I've hinted at or talked about, and that is my tumultuous relationship with my sister. And I've never told it. I've never written about it in my books. I don't talk about it in my stand-up. But it takes quite a while to tell. When I've told it to a friend, it really to tell it takes a couple hours. So I said, Serial, the most popular podcast, it tells it in, little segments. And I said, and she is like you think of it like serial killer, but it's like serial sister in that it's consecutive stuff that she's done throughout my life to me that has not been pleasant. So, but it's a kind of a juicy, crazy story. So the story is my sister Katrina. She is number 3. I'm number 5 out of the kids. So 2 older brothers, Katrina, my sister Shannon, and me. And we came from, an American-born but Irish Catholic family. Went to church every Sunday, Catholic school, and my mom and dad. And I think this is important to the story too. Is like in analyzing my sisters through the years. So my mom and dad had the 2 boys and her, so excited. And then they were done. Then my mom went on the pill, even though it was against the church. She went on the pill. And then like some friend of hers had a blood clot, or a friend of a friend. So she went off the pill. Then she had my sister Shannon by mistake. And then she had me by mistake. Then my dad found a priest in San Diego that would bless a vasectomy. Okay? And that was it. Now, it was interesting because right from the beginning, there are stories that my sister Katrina was 4 when my sister was brought home. And my mom, when we were growing up, would joke around and say, oh, Shannon would have pinches on her body and stuff. That right from the beginning, I think that was a big adjustment for her, from being the only girl to having the 2 other girls. And then as the years went on, we had great years where she was like 6 years older than I am. She was fun. She was a great babysitter. But then towards the teenage years, when she started to get in trouble, and my older brothers were always in trouble. They were smoking pot and selling it and everything. And my parents were working so much as realtors, they really weren't aware. Like, I can't imagine. Like, I was telling my friend, because my son just took an entrance exam for high school, and I said, now there's so many emails. If your child was 2 minutes late, or if they forgot an assignment, or what they got in a quiz. But back then, I think my parents didn't know that my brothers had been skipping school and anything for weeks and weeks. And so it was just a different world. So they were all kind of getting in trouble. But then my sister and I were always like the two little girls. And oftentimes Katrina would say like, why am I lumped in with the boys and not the girls? Because we were good. Like, we just were. My sister and I just were. Part of us being good was my parents being like, she wouldn't come home from, a night out or whatever. And I'd wake up, they'd come to the kitchen and they'd be in their pajamas. They hadn't slept all night. They're calling hospitals. And they looked at me and they're like, if you or your sister ever disappoint us like this, we will kill ourselves. That's what they're saying to us at like 8 and 10. So I associated with the minute you try pot, you're a loser, all of that. So even though I had a fun life and I drank, I've always been very anti-drugs because of them. So then time went on, and she eventually got pregnant, got married, and all the things were fine. And then, because I was in high school, so I was always babysitting her one son at the time. And then I got accepted to USC. Well, my sister was at Santa Clara. And I'm bringing this up because after I've told the whole story, which you can find on Juicy Scoop, is episodes 35 to 51. If you want to go back, you can for free. Is that in analyzing it all, I kind of feel like something about me going to USC was like the beginning of just like a weird, jealous hatred thing, which is very strange because my parents always said the 3 of them chose not to go to college. Like, she did some JC and stuff, but they didn't go to college. And my parents always said, we would have paid for college. We're not giving you the money that we spent at USC in Santa Clara. But something about me going to SC, which was not much more than Santa Clara, just like, I don't know, just kind of drove her and like even her husband, and they would sort of say nasty things about me that I later found out through my friends many years later. Now in retrospect, they're like, oh my God, they'd be like, oh yeah, she's really helping out. And I'm like, well, I'm going to college. Like, what? It was just strange. But so then I'm single and I'm dating, and she was very supportive because she was a stay-at-home mom. So if I was doing a show at the Groundlings or stand-up, she would love, and she would come and she'd bring people, and she thought it was hilarious, and that was all fine. But there was still traumatic stuff that would happen, like with my parents. Like, I remember when the car that I was driving of my dad's, it like broke down, when I was at SC, and he calls me and he goes, hey, we got you this used Toyota Tercel. And I go, okay, that's fine. So come home this weekend and get it or whatever. So I come home and then he goes, oh, can you get me a Coke in the outside fridge? Because that's where, and I go outside and there is a brand new Toyota Celica. Now they gave my sister Shannon the exact same Toyota Celica 2 years prior. Okay? In red. But for some reason, that day Katrina was there with her kids and she just stormed out and I'm like crying. I couldn't believe it. Like they even did a bow. Like I never had anything. Like I was dying. Like I was like, it looks like a spaceship inside. Like I couldn't. And she was just furious because I guess she had borrowed or asked my mother to get diapers and stuff for her the prior week. And my mom said, can I have the $12? And so she was like, but you're buying that little bitch, that SC sorority bitch, a Toyota Celica. And I kept going like, oh my God, but like, Shannon has the same car. Neither of us are on loans. Like something about me. It was just so then throughout time, whenever she would get mad about something with my parents, she would say, we're not coming for Christmas. The kids and I aren't coming for Christmas. Well, they were pretty much the only fun thing about Christmas. Like I'm in my 20s. None of us have kids. And they're like these two little cherubs. And eventually a third one. And so we were always like, okay, we're sorry. We're sorry. We're sorry. That's not what we meant. And it would be like these angry messages. And at this point, she was having like a difficult time with her husband. And so it was always going back and forth. And it just continued on. But at this whole time, I'm dating. So I would go on these horrible dates and tell her about it. And she would laugh and loved it. Then I met my husband. And I think that was almost like weird for her because one thing my sister said to me, Shannon, she goes, well, she never wanted to be me. My sister's an attorney. She never wanted to be an attorney, but she was naturally funny. Both my parents are funny. We're all kind of funny. And my brother's a musician. Like we're all sort of creative. Shannon became more of a bookworm, but now she's really, really quite funny too as a mom. People hear us and they say we sound like she hung out with Rat at the whiskey. And like there was always like on the verge of stardom. And then her kids were little kid actors, which was great. Like they modeled and they stayed in regular school, but it was she was very good at that. But then, and she was happy when I got my first TV show. But something about once I got married or was getting married, it was like, and one day she said to somebody that it got back to me like, I was okay when she was the funny comedian who wasn't in love and childless and might be childless forever, But once I got married and I was a stepmother too, because my husband had a daughter but I chose to keep that from her from the wedding because it was sort of like that's another dramatic story. But I kind of kept it from her because I knew she would go around and say I shouldn't marry him and just because he has a child and things like that. So then when I finally told her afterwards, then she really went crazy. But prior to that, she was awful at the wedding, which is a ongoing theme with people who have written me since hearing it, is that the serial sibling, stepmother, brother, whatever it is, they choose it happened at the wedding. She called me a cunt. She, threatened to leave with her children, who are the flower girls. So I had to be apologizing to her. And I never wanted her in the wedding. I told my mother because she was very difficult during my sister's wedding. She ordered a dress 2 sizes too small. The seamstress had to add a panel in the back. Her daughter, she wasn't watching her daughter. I sat on the daughter's bottle that like spilled all over my dress in an hour-and-a-half Catholic mass where my ass was just stained, and I don't have a good ass to begin with. And it was just, so with this time around, I go, listen, I'm going to forgo having bridesmaids so that, so then she can't get mad. Even though I'm only 29 at the time, I would have loved to have had my bridesmaids. I was in a sorority. I was a girl's girl. My mom's like, no, you have to have her. She will make our life a living hell. And you have to have the kids in the wedding. And now my parents were paying, and I didn't want to, disturb my parents. And I go, all right. But I didn't have my husband's nieces in it. They didn't care. They understood. So I was like, okay, so they'll be in it. And so nobody wants to be in with her. So I'll just have, I'll just have 2 matrons of honor. That's it. So then, that bachelorette party, she picks a fight with my best friend. They're fighting and crying. Then at the rehearsal dinner, she doesn't show up for because she's getting her nails done. Not that it's that hard, but still she didn't know where to walk down. Then she comes to the rehearsal dinner and she's all pissed that I said no kids. So she's telling everybody, saying, Heather is jealous of my daughters because they have more acting credits than she does. And I'm like, what? They're 8 and 4. It was so weird. And I go, none of the kids are coming. It's a table of 20 and Peter's parents are paying and they're kind of frugal. We just want to keep it under $500 or whatever. So then, she's crying to my aunt. So then my friend apologizes. Then we get to the wedding. Then she starts yelling at me. She calls me CUNT, threatens to leave. We get to the wedding. Finally, she has fun at the wedding. She's doing the splits like Kyle Richards, flipping her hair around, having a great time. So then a couple weeks later, I tell her that, in fact, I'm a stepmother. And then that just spiraled her out of control. That I didn't share it with her, but I shared it with Shannon and one best friend. However, I didn't share it with my other best friend. I really only shared it with my parents and 2 people because I just didn't want everyone talking about it in the bathroom at the wedding, why I shouldn't, marry this person. And so then, and then it really continued on to more and more drama. First restraining order came after my son's first birthday. He's now 14. Second restraining order came in 2006 when she attempted to burn the bridesmaid's dress on my on my lawn of the house that we were remodeling. And then the latest one involved really around my mother's death. So it was just horror. It's been horrible. So what happened is I got the restraining order. The final restraining order, in, I want to say, end of October of 2015. And I started to tell the story in March of 2016, a few months later. And it's been incredible because I was so afraid that people would, every time I would share it on the show, I thought people would write me and be like, you're a horrible person. Why are you airing out this dirty laundry? Why are you saying this stuff? But it really was not. It was I couldn't believe the response of exactly what you said. Nobody talks about this. And I always wanted to talk about it because it didn't just happen. It's been going on for a solid 13 years, and there'd be increments of time around my father's death that I sort of let her back in unwillingly, but things like that. And so difficult with my sister, being that my sister's an attorney and has always helped them out legally and always felt that she was the Switzerland, as she'd call herself. And it made it really so difficult. But on a theme of it was there's got to be a time in your life where you're yeah, we shared a roof, we came down the same vaginal walls of our mother. But honestly, when can this stop? Because it's just absolutely torture. And it took me marrying someone who was not raised in complete dysfunction to go, you do, this isn't right that she just burst into our front door and started screaming at you on a Tuesday night without while my husband's sitting there in his shorts. And it was just, so, that is my story. And you can go back and listen because it is too long to tell in 10 minutes, but it does result in police removing her from my property and things like that.
Wow. Is that a great story or what? It's hard to believe. This is how sometimes families are. Maybe your family's like this. I don't know. Anyway, you guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Heather McDonald is just an incredible talent, and I'm so happy she was able to come on Storyworthy and tell that story. All right, you guys, don't forget to head over to mylifein3songs.com and check out my new podcast, My Life in 3 Songs. All right, you guys, one more time on behalf of the very talented Heather McDonald, my name is Christine Blackburn saying, make it a story-worthy week.
Thanks for joining us on the Storyworthy Podcast. We'll be back next week with all new stories. Subscribe to Storyworthy on iTunes and visit the Storyworthy website at storyworthypodcast.com.
Right now, new and current customers can get any phone for free at US Cellular, so you can connect with all your family members this holiday season. You can even call your aunt who always makes you talk to your cousin, who's a dog. Or, maybe just send her a festive text. Get the gift of connection at US Cellular. Get any phone free today. US Cellular, built for us. Terms apply. Visit uscellular.com for details.
We value human connection with fewer distractions. US Cellular, built for us. Visit your US Cellular authorized agent, Cellular Advantage, located at 918 South Locust Street in Glenwood.
The holidays start here at Baker's with a variety of options to celebrate traditions old and new. You could do a classic herb roasted turkey or spice it up and make turkey tacos. Serve up a go-to shrimp cocktail or use Simple Truth wild-caught shrimp for your first Cajun risotto. Make creamy mac and cheese or a spinach artichoke fondue from our selection of Murray's cheese. No matter how you shop, Baker's has all the freshest ingredients to embrace all your holiday traditions. Baker's, fresh for everyone.